I just want to share, Rav, from an experience we had in the group. It was 24 years ago exactly, at the end of June 2000. We went, as we were looking for a settlement that we wanted to put together, we went to a religious kibbutz.
In the north?
No, it was actually in the south. It was a religious kibbutz in the south. It was towards the end of our searches. And I remember that we talked with them and we wanted to kind of like merge into the kibbutz as a group. Why did they agree and wanted to receive us? Because they were living in fear. I remember that in every conversation with them, there's this feeling of fear. They had endless money, lots of money. They had chicken coops and assets, and they went through the crisis from the 80s. A lot of the kibbutzes fell and during that time, but they were successful. But they were always afraid that if something will happen and we don't some kind of good economical planning, each of us will remain with great debt. And there was this feeling that really spirituality was certainly not there, but this codependency was a certain kind of failure, like from fear, not from something that gives confidence, truly the opposite of what needs to be. The very fact that we're dependent on one another and not with a spiritual goal, it's truly every conversation with one of their leaders there, the feeling was of pure fear of what will happen, what will happen, what will happen will fall. And that was truly what I remember from that meeting.
Yes.
No, Gil.
כן, זה בדיוק כמו שגלעד מתאר, אז גם חברים
Yes, it's exactly like Gilad is describing. So also friends from countries in South America that I talked about. What happened with countries that followed so-called communistic regimes, and the country is truly crumbling. Just to hear about communism is already, a person is afraid and is worried, is ready to leave the path, because the very idea that we have to move to such a form, because they see country after country, the moment communism enters, it crumbles. People don't even have what to live from. What can you say to such a friend that is so concerned just from reading such words? It already leads to this anxiety.
They will feel on themselves what it means to build tomorrow without inner security, without mutual guarantee. As first, you need to attain a certain size, measure of mutual guarantee, avut, that will dwell among everyone, and that it would be without any tests and without any obligations. Rather, it all stems from the heart, like in a family. And then you can assemble such a society.
Another
point that raises a lot of concern in people's hearts is the matter of religion. It's not clear this point of religion, that people came to us because they were running away from religion. And here, each time he's repeating the word religion like this, religion like that. What does he mean exactly?
Religion is faith in the power of society. A society where everyone thinks in a certain direction has the power to overcome all the obstacles along the way, because they come from the same source. They come in order to obligate society to rise more and more.
But religions, as we see, don't necessarily raise up the society.
No, here religion is meaning the religion of communism or some communal or cooperative Religion means that in our collaboration, we can build a certain future. It's the only future that will exist.
What guarantees do I have that it will succeed this way? Here you talked about examples of this kibbutz that you saw, and as such, that in the name of mutual concern, they didn't necessarily succeed. On the contrary.
The arvut, the mutual guarantee, is necessarily when we all went through the previous states and we failed and we saw, oh, you can't exist in this way, it's not sustainable, and our whole existence depends on the connection between us.
That's from the other side. We see that in this world, really, what is so wonderful to be concerned with losing. Life is so difficult for most people. People working so many hours, and it's so difficult to just sustain oneself. This whole war has got some kind of regional war or nuclear war, and with that, we're holding on to some, very despicable existence. Why are we so worried to give up the existence as it is, which is so lowly as it is?
There's fear of death, of losing one's life.
Yeah.
That's our nature.
טוב. כן, אורן.
השאלה הראשונה של גילי, היא אמרה שיש
Gili's first question points to there's people who are studying the wisdom of Kabbalah with us today, and because we start to study the writings of the last generation and the expression communism is very dominant, they're saying, thank you very much. We're leaving the study of Kabbalah. Does Kabbalah aim us towards communism? What's the opinion of Rav on such a thing, that people are leaving us because of talking about communism?
Of course, I'm against people leaving. Maybe they shouldn't study it, or if we do study it, we should create definitions before the studies each time and bring them to their true place. So when we talk about communism, it means total cooperation, sharing, communal life in a way that doesn't obligate anyone, but the society is in such a state where this communal sharing will provide a promise for today and for tomorrow to each one and to everyone together. And it will be according to the justice that exists in each person's heart. And not that some will enjoy it, some will enjoy it less, some will not enjoy it at all, and so on and so forth. We'll all be in such a level of connection and understanding, both between us and of the upper world, so that the absorption by the perception by the upper force will provide such certainty and calm for tomorrow.
Okay, so let's say that this definition I just heard right now, or what we're going to learn in another minute or 2 days ago, they don't calm me down. On the contrary, they pressure me. Let's say it's written about nationalization. I have a home, so they're saying your house won't be yours; it'll belong to the state. Let's say this kind of talk in the format of communism kind of stresses me. Do you recommend for me to relate to this as something that could cause my decision to stop studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, if that's what it guides us to?
We must. It's not that it's happening to us, but we have to understand
לקומוניזם, אם אפשר
that
כך להגיד.
our entrance to communism, if we could say it, this new level of collaboration and cooperation and sharing will be an entrance that happens with everyone's consent, because otherwise we don't think that it's sustainable.
שלטון של הכוח.
There's no rule of power here.
שלטון של מחנך.
But specifically a rule that educates people
בהבנה.
softly with understanding how to
מתאים
make a person suitable for sharing, cooperation, communal life.
אז לסיכום, מה דעת הרב לגבי תלמידים?
So to summarize, what is Rav's opinion about students who study Kabbalah with us today? Gil gave examples from Latin America, or not Latin America, or anywhere else in the world, who this whole study of communism, altruistic communism, say, be healthy with all your communism and altruistic communism, it's not healthy for me, are they doing a right move? Or if such a phenomenon begins, because it appears like it's beginning already.
Where does it start?
Gil said that in Latin America, people are stopping to study Kabbalah because they heard about communism. That's what he started with gently.
Who's starting this communism?
מה איתכם?
What's up with you?
תראה, מאוד ברור, מדינה כמו ונצואלה
Look,
הלכה
it's
לכיוון של...
very clear. A country like Venezuela went in the direction of communism. It's crumbling. People have nothing to live from. Other countries, they see how such a regime comes in that same direction. Just talking about it already stresses people out, just so that we won't be like Venezuela. That's, I'll say it the most practical way possible. It stresses people out. The whole ideology and now the whole local politics is now will be like them, and all our economy, where's it going to go? Will I have what to live with tomorrow, or will I be hungry like them? And there's like immigration of millions from Venezuela to all of South America because people don't have what to eat. People are going into the forests looking for food. And this is a result of so-called communism. So when I read about communism, it's hard for me to understand what altruistic communism, first egoistic communism, what stages I need to go through altogether in order to reach this communism that Baal HaSulam is speaking about. And I even need to justify it somehow because I see people don't have anything to eat and a state is crumbling. So when people hear such a thing, they say, this is not where I want to go. I'm working hard for me to be able to eat. And more than that, you want to nationalize everything for me. So it's not clear, these stages that we have to get there.
So it's our problem. We shouldn't study such texts. We must create an explanation, action before that, an informative action, especially in such places.
צריכים לחשוב. מתי אפשר לפתוח?
When is it possible to start opening things gradually, slowly? This new method?
כבר הגיע הזמן שתחליף את השיטה הקודמת.
That will replace the current method, the existing, the past one.
Another thing to look at is this religious matter that we're talking about here, the word religion. Also, there's all kinds of so-called physical actions in the direction. It's not clear what's religion, who for who is it for, who or not. The organization is talking about, and we're doing certain things. So that also scares people who have suffered from religion.
We need to proceed our study with all kinds of cautions that what we're studying is not something that we're going to apply today or tomorrow. Rather, it's something that Kabbalists wrote about a little bit here and there about a future society. The time will come and we'll be able to perhaps approach a society of this nature. Not more than that. That we're starting. It sounds like we're starting now. Let's divide the roles into our new kibbutz. No.
לכן אם כולם מרגישים שזה
God forbid. That's why everybody.
להבנות לא נכונות, אז כדאי לנו לעזוב את זה ולחזור לזה
We
בעוד
think that
מי יודע, כמה שנים.
brings incorrect misunderstandings, and we should leave it for a few years and then come back to it later when we see it, these texts later in a different form, because they're not processed, they're not
ולעשותם.
they're not for to study and to apply.
שאפשר ללמוד, אבל חשוב באמת כל צד
I think we can learn, but really every step needs to be explained in.
It won't help so much.
ישאר את הרושם
Nevertheless, it would leave
שזה לא רצוי.
an impression that it's undesirable.
לא, אנחנו לא נלמד ולא נדבר על זה
No,
יותר.
we won't study it, we won't talk about it. Let's go to different material, and this part, the last generation,
מוקדם מאוד בשבילנו.
it's still way too early for us. That's what I'm thinking.
בסדר.
Okay?
קולה, תיקח מיקרופון. הוא אומר שעכשיו הוא מתחיל בסעיפים הבאים יותר להרחיב יותר על החסרונות של הקומוניזם.
He's saying that in the other items he's explaining more in the next items that come up here.
Okay, but nevertheless, each one has to sort it for himself, how much he's getting from it, how much he's not. And that we're studying it in a way that is not for practical application. No, I don't want to hear anything. You hear me?
טוב.